Coming up now on Animal Outtakes.
Yeah, to fit in, not be special. And here she's just one other person who's taking a horseback riding lesson.
SMART is a therapy program that is brilliant, giving those with disabilities a chance to feel equal and just like anyone else. It's a sound you might recognize if you watch a lot of jungle-themed movies. We will get up close to this little guy with the big set of pipes. And this vibrant colored parrot won't be wanting a cracker. Nectar and fruit is what they eat, and this type of bird might be the right pet for you. This and much more straight ahead on Animal Outtakes. Hello and welcome to Animal Outtakes. I'm Marsha Panuce, and this is my trusted friend Zeus. When you think of therapy animals, a horse likely wouldn't be the first animal that would come to your mind. But an organization called SMART offers horseback riding therapy to those with disabilities. And it doesn't matter the age of the participants and to some degree the level of ability. There is a distinct bond between horses and humans.
Amanda is mostly nonverbal. She will say one or two words to convey her wants or her needs, but for the most part, you really can't have a conversation with her. She doesn't understand.
11-year-old Amanda Bartik has only been coming out to SMART, the Sarasota Manatee Association for Riding Therapy, for about 4 months now. And in that short time, her mother, Stacy, has noticed a change in her daughter.
When she came here, she was hunched over, very low tone in her core, would go from side to side, wouldn't really hold on to the reins, and actually the horse will not go until the child will hold the reins and is able to say, walk on. But after a while, I noticed that, like I said, she was sitting up straighter and she was more solid. And she was holding the reins, and she was saying, walk on. And it was pretty amazing.
And Linda Miller has seen a big difference in her daughter, Kelly, as well.
Her comfort, her willingness to work. She does a lot of barn chores, no complaints, not so at home. Her whole demeanor changes when she gets here. She stands straighter, she's happier. She just loves everybody because I think they're so accepting. And she's not different here, which I think is what she likes the most.
We enrich the lives of individuals with disabilities through therapeutic horse-related programs.
Does it really work?
It works.
When you see the riders come, and we understand that the youngest is 5 years and perhaps the oldest is 60 plus.
Yes.
What do you think when you see them coming up? What are you hoping for?
I think that when they pull into this gate, I think what happens is we can't control what they go through outside. And a lot of our students and parents and family members are going from school to one therapy appointment to a doctor's appointment. A lot of the times those are painful for them. They come out here, it's a beautiful environment. They get to team up with their horse and partner with them and do the arenas and work with the volunteers, and it's a sense of peace for them. It's a sense of fun for them while they're still working on some of the issues that they have.
And what about hope? You give hope.
We absolutely give hope. It is amazing that I get to talk to these families that will a lot of times come to us frustrated and down in the dumps and not really sure if there's anything for them or for their loved one, and say they're never going to get on that horse. They've never been around a horse, and then listen to them gasp and tear up and smile as their child or their loved one walks up that ramp and mounts that very first time. When they come out here, sometimes they'll come out here shy. Some of them will come out here a little apprehensive because they don't think, since they don't have horse experience, they're not gonna know what to do. That's okay. Again, that gives us an opportunity to teach compassion and to teach life skills that they're going to taking care of another animal, being diligent about and being in the moment. Bernie mentioned being in the moment. And you have to out here around these animals and around the individuals that we serve.
Now, who does the most teaching? The humans or these guys over here?
My opinion, it's these guys. Abs, hands down. These guys will teach you something different every single day.
So on some level, do you think these horses really know how important they have become?
I absolutely do. I can see a horse who with their rider, we nurture the relationship between the rider and the horse. So they are usually on the same horse every single week so that relationship can be created. And for some reason, they can tell when their rider's having a rough time. They may be a little extra gentle. They may be a little extra loving and very, very patient.
It's another experience for them that they might not get otherwise, and the more experiences you can expose your child, your special needs child to, I think the more full their life is going to be. So, and I'm thankful that Amanda's able to be here and to do this.
The Sarasota Manatee Association for Riding Therapy is a volunteer-based program with only 3 paid staff members. It's the help from as many as 100 volunteers that allows this program to continue weekly. If you would like more information about SMART or how you could help, their website is smartriders.org. The sound this next critter makes is iconic in jungle scenes and movies. Most people would believe it was a monkey making the sounds in the background, but it is likely a small bird called a kookaburra. Louis, I have this adorable creature here, and I'm just, again, falling in love. Who have I got here?
This is Stevie. Stevie is a laughing kookaburra.
Stevie.
And they're native to Australia. They're one of the largest kingfisher birds in the world. Now, he's still just a little baby. He's only about 4.5 months old, so he still has a lot to grow. He is full size, but he's still maturing with his feathers. So that's why he looks all puffy right now.
Now, he is absolutely very, very handsome.
Thank you.
And he talks to you, and he sings, doesn't he?
He does sing. He's the only one that laughs at my jokes. It's this little guy here.
And can we hear him sing?
We're going to try. Stevie, you ready? Oop, doing good.
Okay.
Ready, Stevie?
Oh, I think there was a little Puccini in there right at the end. Yes, absolutely. This is a sound that's very reminiscent of the old Hollywood movies to me.
Yes, yes. Most jungle movies that we see the camera going through the jungle, but we never see monkeys jumping around, but we do hear the noise. The noise comes from these little guys when they're doing their laughter, which is what we just finished hearing.
Now, this bird is a bird of prey?
He is a carnivore. He does eat other insects and lizards in the wild. He perches himself in some trees and wait for most of the prey to come to them. They'll catch different lizards, insects, even snakes, and sometimes they get animals that are a little bigger than them and they're able to eat them.
They are, huh? Mm-hmm. So they're very opportunistic.
Oh, yes, they are. They don't miss a meal.
This carnivore uses its keen eyesight to look for prey. When it sees a snake or an insect, it will smack it on the ground or drop it from high up in the air to immobilize it. Then the kookaburra swallows its food whole.
He is just absolutely so gorgeous here, but this beautiful body is really a good camouflage for him, is it not?
Yes, it is. They live in the forest type areas in Australia, and the males and the females look very similar. The males usually have the more blue feathers on the sides, and the females are usually a little bigger, but they're very similar and they blend in very well with their environment.
And you know, he is just so comfortable. Mm-hmm. You've raised him, haven't you?
I've raised this little guy since he was just a few weeks old. He came to us. People that had him before thought it was a cool idea to have a kookaburra as a pet, until he does a little sound that he does first thing in the morning. and it does not become fun. He'll do it 2 or 3 times first thing in the morning and at night, but they could do it randomly throughout the day. And you cannot shut them down. You cannot tell them stop it like you can do with a little dog start barking. So unfortunately, they become a bit of a headache because it's too loud, and then they don't want them. And that happens to a lot of birds like this, even with parrots. When they start making a lot of noise,
yes.
They're like, this is not fun no more. It's not as cute as it is, and that's how I was able to acquire this little guy.
He must be very safe and confident with you, Luis, because he is not grabbing on at all to my hand. He's just kind of resting there. He's just very peaceful. He's taking in the beautiful weather, yes, and he's talking to us, yes. Can you sing a little more?
Can you sing? Stevie? That's it. It's a little one.
That was a little one. Well, I'll tell you, it's music to our ears. And what a wonderful adventure this is, to be so close to this beautiful, beautiful bird. As we heard, they are noisy, and their laughing usually happens in the morning and evening, which has earned the kookaburra the nickname Bushman's Alarm Clock.
Ever since he was a kid, Nate has loved these prehistoric reptiles, and he's showing us a very rare kind next.
For thousands of years, we've been humans' best friend. You've been through a lot, and we've been right there with you. A dog is part of the family, a confidant, and a friend who always knows how to get into your heart. So what happens to our beloved companions when we can no longer care for them? This is why we've created Dante's Den, an innovative, state-of-the-art facility that will provide care for up to 100 dogs.
Dante's Den is a community for joyful dogs.
Millions of Americans face uncertainty when planning for the future of beloved pets who may well outlive them. Dante's Den is a charitable organization, so in whatever capacity you can, please lend your support so that we may continue this most wonderful work.
Dante and I would like to thank you for watching and for also opening up your hearts to our wonderful community of joyful dogs.
Learn about the many ways you could become involved by visiting dantesden.org.
Welcome back. Leucism is a condition where some of the pigment in an animal is lost, so the color of the animal's skin, hair, feathers, or scales can be pale or white. And Nate Sweeting from Smooth Waters Wildlife Center is about to show us an extremely rare leucistic alligator.
It's a leucistic alligator. He has blue eyes and pretty much no coloration on him at all. But as he's been growing over the years, he's slowly taking on some normal coloration pigment in his head. So we named him Rorschach.
Now, would he be considered an albino?
No.
Okay.
An albino is pretty much, or that defect, I guess, that genetic abnormality is just no pigmentation whatsoever. It just has no, so it gives it that kind of pinkish hue, and they have reddish or pinkish eyes. A leucistic alligator is basically lacking all dark pigmentation.
I see.
So you see a little bit of spotting here, you know, some of the black spots and whatnot, but for the most part it just has all light or all white pigment and usually blue eyes. And I don't know if that'll pick up on the cameras.
He does.
Nice
he has
blue,
Paul
pretty
Newman
eyes.
eyes. Now his color I would call a gorgeous buttercream. And he's got the black spots, but this is very interesting. This is very hard, actually.
Sure.
What is this? Is this part of a shell?
Not really. No, there's bones. They're bony plates right here on the top. Like if you feel on the sides or on the bottom, it's very soft, kind of squishy. Mm-hmm. But up on the top, like you noticed, it's a little bit harder. Each one of these tiny little spiky looking things is an individual bone.
Oh my.
It's not connected to the skeleton, but it's a bony plate right there in the skin. They're called osteoderms, and it basically acts like armor or solar panels. There's blood vessels all through those, so when they sit in the sun, it soaks up the heat from the sun, and it distributes it through the body, so it's like a jump start to warming up their body.
Now, it's always amazing to me, of course, he is so comfortable with you, Nate, and he's making little cooing sounds here, yes. And it's almost like he's semi-comatose, but I wouldn't want to test that. But when I go like this, does he feel that?
Oh, yeah.
He feels this.
Yeah, they're a lot more sensitive than people realize. I mean, they're tough and they look all cold and callous, and they can't make facial expressions, so it just looks like I'm just as mean as I look, or whatever the case is. But they are very sensitive. I mean, he can feel you breathing on them. They have nerve endings all throughout there, so they feel pleasure and pain just like we do. They might be a little bit more hardcore and tougher than we are as far as pain, and the way their body deals with injuries is a lot different than humans. But nonetheless, they feel pleasure and pain. You'll notice me scratching them under the chin once in a while. That feels good. Who doesn't like a
good chin rub?
Well, who doesn't like a good, back rub or neck massage? So, I'll sit there and start scratching them right here. He's calming down a little bit. Oh, right behind the ears. That feels good. The dog likes that too.
And his eyes are just kind of closing.
So,
and he will grow to be about how big?
Males can average about 13 to 15 feet. So,
oh my.
He can get big, big, big. Yeah. You see that big pond over there, don't you? You want to go swimming, huh?
He's thinking this might be not so bad here. It does beg the question, are you ever scared?
That is a loaded question, sort of. I'll say yes. There's times where I get caught off guard. If you ever meet anybody in this industry that works closely with alligators or crocodiles, and you ask them that question and they say no, they're either a liar or an idiot. That's the bottom line, because they're animals that are capable of ending your life or seriously injuring somebody else. So if you're not on top of your game, even with the most well-trained animals, I do training with all of our crocodiles and alligators, but everything has a bad day, so something can always go wrong, and you have to anticipate that. So the fact is, there's some pretty hairy situations occasionally, and sometimes you're scared, but you cannot let that get in your way. The biggest problem with fear is people freeze up, and that's when people die. So I don't, the fear turns to respect over time, but I get an adrenaline rush all the time, and I don't have nightmares about them chasing me down the hall, but.
So we might say, Nate, you have a healthy respect.
Sure, let's go with that.
And we do too. We do too. Thank you, Roshak. Thank you,
everybody. You want to wave? You're not going to wave today?
Hello, bye-bye. Leucism is caused by some sort of defect in the pigment cell, which causes the white or pale coloration. Now, there is a wide range of leucistic animals, from lions and birds to horses and snakes, and much more. Coming up next, Dr. Don introduces us to a colorful parrot who is not only beautiful, but also intelligent. Stay with us. Pet of the Week is next. Polly doesn't want a cracker. Instead, it is nectar from plants that make up this bird's diet. In this week's Pet of the Week, Dr. Don introduces us to the gorgeous and brightly colored lorikeet, which is a smaller parrot. Dr. Don, this is one beautiful bird. Who do we have here? I know it's Buddy.
That's Buddy, and Buddy is a green-naped lory, and Buddy loves to play with his balls. Loves them. Give me that ball. Give me that ball. Buddy talks, and there are, golly, something like over 70 different kinds of lories, and all of them, they range from different colors of black to spectacular rainbow colors to electric reds and blues. And they are a brush-tongue parrot. They eat a lot of fruit, and they eat a nectar. Their complete balanced diet is kind of like a runny yogurt. So when you drink a lot of wet fruits and vegetables, and you eat yogurty food, you squirt out poop. Unlike, say, a parakeet, which has a semi-solid turd when it lands on you, you just flick it off. These guys splash. So they're definitely not for everybody. They're a little bit screechy. They're a little bit loud. Right? Give me the ball. Ah, I want my ball.
Now his coloring is absolutely gorgeous. From the beak, we see a beautiful indigo blue, which goes into another color, which could be more of a charcoal black, into the lime green. Is this the typical color, or do we see so many others?
Everyone is different. Every different type of lory is different, because they are smart. Anybody who calls birds stupid, they are not smart, because they are extremely intelligent. They need social enrichment, or they'll be a feather picker. They can self-mutilate. They're horrible. That cardboard box is his toy, and he'll shred it every couple of days. They need a diet that's complete and balanced. They don't just eat seeds. Nutrition's important whether you're talking about any animal or even a human, like a 13-year-old kid. They have to eat right. You can't just eat greasy McDonald's food 4 meals a day.
Now, can you teach him how to speak, or is his speech coming naturally?
They are open-ended learners. They will learn like a kid, whether you want them to or not. They're always listening to, and they learn constantly. Birds hide their signs of disease for a living. The day you look sick when you're a bird is the day you get eaten by a predator or knocked off by another bird from your flock. So they look good, and I get this all the time. You look fine, and he fell off the perch. No, he's skeletally thin. He did his job. He hid his signs of disease.
Well, Buddy is certainly having a great time here. He's loving this ball. And he's talking about now he's got it. He was happy.
He bathes daily. He loves to make a mess. He loves to make a mess with fruit and vegetable food. He plays nonstop. They are a great bird, but there's absolutely nothing. Your first bird should always be a parakeet or a cockatiel. Then you can grow from there.
Dr. Don also says, do your research before you become an owner of any animal to make sure you are a good match for each other. And your questions are answered. Coming up next is Ask the Vet. Every week we find an interesting medical tip that might answer a question that you have. Here's Dr. Dog.
Hyperbaric oxygen therapy started many, many moons ago, obviously, and it has evolved thanks to the Navy for decompression chambers, and it has come back in the medical field. You have these chambers, these big, massive submarine-looking things that you go in, and what does it do to your body? It's going to take 100% pure oxygen, and it's going to push it. Oxygen in your body is picked up by your red cells, about 2 molecules in your lungs, and it goes travel to your tissue, gets delivered. Carbon dioxide gets picked up instead, delivered back to the lungs, and so forth. That's what the red cells do. They carry oxygen. That's why when you get anemia, you can't breathe well. Your tissue is damaged and hurt. You can imagine hyperbaric helps. At that point, hyperbaric pressurizes oxygen beyond that oxygen red cell carrying capacity to the plasma, so the fluid in which the red cells are floating, and pushes it into the tissues even further. So if you have, for example, a stroke, well, call that because it's used for strokes all the time, you have an area that's got no oxygen. It's been blocked by a clot, and oxygen will get there with the chamber. And thanks to that, we're actually seeing over long periods of time of treatment, because it's not an overnight thing, we're seeing neurons come back, which is unheard of. We used to think neurons never come back, and they do. They do. In our situation here in Sarasota, it's having access for people. We are the only canine feline animal chamber in this area. We certainly cannot accommodate horses, but too small. But there's really nobody else in this area, and I would think every ER should have one because of all the benefits. It treats pancreatitis, it treats anything like polyarthritis, all my meningitis, inflammation of the brain, I put in there as well. Every cancer I have, and my own cat survived lymphoma over 2 years when it's supposed to be 6 to 12 months. I have a cat, a patient of mine, that survived an aggressive cancer climbing in the brain because of using the chemotherapy and hyperbaric, and it's cancer-free more than a year later when he's supposed to live about 80 days. So when you look at all of that, it's flabbergasting what a chamber can do. And there's so many potentials. So hopefully in the future, we'll hear even more options for us as humans.
Great advice from the doc as usual. We hope you've had fun and learned a thing or two along the way. Zeus and I will be back here again next week with even more animals and some wild adventures. Until then, thanks for watching. Sit down. Sit. Be the first animal that would come to your mind. Yay! You finally did it! Yay! Whoa, that's a good one.